Let's move on to the Nationals, guys, and we caught up with Thomas Boswell down in Vieira just a couple days ago to get his thoughts on the spring. And
he looked really warm.
He looks warm. It's really nice
happy.
down there. It's about 80 degrees. Let's hear from Bos, and then we'll come on the other side.
The Nats had a chance to see where they failed under the pressure of expectations, what parts of their team needed tightening up, and they've actually improved almost all those areas. They added a starting pitcher they needed, Doug Fister. That was probably a real steal. Now they actually seem like an older and more mature team. A lot of them seem to have filled out 10, 15, 20 pounds. The biggest change in tone for the Nationals this year will be their new manager, Matt Williams. This should be a much more orderly, crisply functioning baseball team under Williams. If it isn't, there could be some tension, but I think it'll work out the way they hope it will.
All right, so there's Boz sort of talking about the storylines for the season.
I'm amazed that Boz thinks something will work out well for the Nats. It's unusual.
Hey, he looked comfortable down there in the stands, his hair blowing in the wind. I want to ask you guys each, what do you feel are the biggest obstacles for the Nationals going into this season?
I'm going to choose the Braves. I think the Braves, obviously last year, were far better, I think, than we imagined. And also, they just owned the Nats head-to-head. I think they were 13-6, something like that, against the Nats. You know, if you reverse that entirely, if the Nats somehow had gone 13-6 against the Braves, I think they would have won a division. There was several really heartbreaking losses. There was that sweep at home against the Braves that really just seemed to kind of crush the season in the middle of the summer. And the Braves, they're locking up all of their young talent. You know, we talk about how talented the Nationals are, and certainly they are, but I think that a lot of that is because we're here in Washington. The Braves have a great team, and like I said, they were so dominant against the Nationals head-to-head that the Nationals have to solve that problem. They have to solve that problem. They have to beat the Braves head-to-head, and they have to, before they worry about anything else, because the wild card is just such a crapshoot nowadays.
Right.
You need a division title for that to really matter, and I think the Braves are the number one obstacle.
Braves number one obstacle. LeVar, what are your thoughts?
I think accountability and management of expectations are the biggest obstacles for this team. I think it's more so about them. If they can place a healthy amount of accountability on each and every last one of themselves as to how they approach this season and how they approach these games, I think that they will have a positive response to new management, and they will have a positive, in my opinion, they will have positive experiences on the playing field itself. Management of expectations. I firmly believe last year was the product of their own belief of what they thought they were. The expectations were so high. Just what people thought this team would accomplish last year, they practically placed them in the World Series before they played one game. And I think after that first game, when Gio comes out and he plays the way that he played and everything went perfect, and then you got another pitcher, he comes out and everything goes the way it's supposed to go, and it almost went perfect. And then you have another pitcher, he comes out, it was Gio, Jordan, and then it was Strasburg, and then it was Gio, and then it was Zim. I mean, the way those first three games went, that team thought that they were on the fast track to the place that everybody had said they were going to be. And when they hit adverse situations and they hit hard spots, they did not have the answer for it. And as a matter of fact, it seemed as though they were a clubhouse that was in disarray based off of disappointment. Based off of disappointment, which is vastly different from being in a clubhouse that is fighting to win because they just don't win. This was a clubhouse that was disappointed because they are supposed to be winning and they're not.
You mentioned the expectations last year. Dan, I want to ask you, sort of, the expectations seem just as high. It's just maybe there's more of a muted sort of professional optimism maybe within the team. You don't have Davey Johnson saying, hey, it's World Series or bust.
They came up short.
It's a first-year manager.
I don't know that I agree with you that they seem just as high.
Oh, yeah, they're just, everybody thinks they're still going to be in
it's not as loud
in the playoffs.
as it was
I don't think
last
it
year.
is. I don't think when
Look
people
at
start
Vegas.
making.
Look at the Vegas odds. The Nats are like the third pick to win, the third best odds to win the World Series.
Well,
but when you're talking about being on the covers of magazines, being on every, they were covered super closely by everyone. And I think it's much different this year because
I think it's totally different.
They allowed for people to realize that you can put these expectations on us, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to live up to them. So I think it's different this year.
I think it was something like 40% of the experts that I surveyed last year had the Nats in the World Series. I don't think that they would be the consensus pick from the National League this year. Certainly, there's a strong group of teams. There's the Dodgers, there's the Reds, there's the Braves. I just don't sense this
Cardinals
kind of inevitability about predicting the Nats to the World Series that we had last year at this
Obviously, the big X factor is Matt Williams, the new manager, and how the team responds to him in his first year at the helm. Lots to see. Like I said, we're going to catch up with Adam Kilgore. He's back in town in the next couple weeks, so we hope to have him on the show soon to get more in depth with our Nationals preview stuff.